The Australian and New Zealand Cafe Hour was brought to you by Metaverse Ventures Entertainment and host Lilli and Ben68. Crikey! The information and opinions within are solely the views of the individuals involved and contains content delivered in legendary accents.
All right, I think we're recording.
Excellent. So how was your week?
My week? Well, it's been chaos today. Mad day today. Oh, just busy. It's like it's my last Wednesday off for probably the rest of the year, and whenever I get a day off, I'm more busy than when I'm at work. It's crazy. So.
Yes, that happens.
Yes, no, but good, fun, busy. That's the big difference.
Yes, that's great. And how are the kids going?
They're going a bit stir crazy with still being at home for an extra 2 weeks, so they're looking forward to going back to school.
Yeah, I bet they are because kids need school. It's where all their friends are. It's where everything they get to do stuff, and holidays just get really, really boring after a while.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I got my kids at home. Like my 3 kids at home are going stir crazy at home, but then I go to work and we've got a bunch of the vacation care kids that have carried over for an extra 2 weeks, and some of those are the ones that this is supposed to be their first time at school, and they're just over being at kindy, so they're playing up like nothing else. So it's been a chaotic couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to kicking them out and settling down into a bit of a routine. What about yourself? What have you been up to? Are you there? What's happened? Oh, I don't know if I'm lost or Lily's lost.
Oh, sorry. I actually got 9 hours sleep last night. It was amazing, and I think I'm a bit loopy because I've slept so much.
You show off. 9 hours, crikey.
I know. I only usually get 4 or 5, and it's just insane that I slept for 9 hours straight. I think it's because I've been working so much.
Just on your artwork stuff?
No, real life work. So it's just been insane with the amount of changes on site and stuff, and having to get stuff out for deadlines that I've been up working all night to get stuff out by like 8:30 in the morning.
Ooh, yuck.
Yes. I've been doing
the
triple shifts.
Triple shifts? Oh, God. That's the blessing and the curse of my job. There's no such thing as overtime, no such thing as weekend work. But if you want some extra money, you kind of out of luck.
Yeah. I work contract, so it's fine. You work when you've got it, and you sleep when you can.
I know about it. I used to work. I used to work in a lab, and I was on a salary, and I signed a contract where I had to produce a certain amount of stuff every single day, and it was 7 days a week. But it didn't matter if I was there for an hour or 20 hours. I just had to do what I had to do, and that was it. So I used to go to work at like 3 a.m., 2 a.m., and I'd do all my work and get home before anybody else was there. It was awesome.
Yeah. I've always worked in, like when I have worked in offices where, you kind of stick to the work hours, but you don't really have to, and you just have to do your minimum hours per week. But if required to do overtime, you did it because you're on salary. So it was kind of, you don't get paid for the extra hours, but you just got the work done, and that was fine. But for the last 10 years, I've worked for an OCD person who required you to be there at his work hours, which was really hard. Even after 10 years, I still could not get used to being there by his time and clocking on, and then, leaving when, well, everybody else would leave, and I would still be there, really, working.
It sounds like the the Japanese system when I first met my wife. Like, we'd organise to go out for dinner or whatever, and they've got a weird situation over there where, like, if you're just the office, lackey or whatever, you can't go home until your middle manager goes home, but the middle manager can't go home until the big boss goes home, and it goes all the way up the hierarchy. Meanwhile, the big boss is in his office, like, sound asleep at his desk. So they're all there till, midnight or something.
Oh, really? That's really silly. I just I think when you're in an industry where you know what your work is and what you have to get done, having these set work hours are ridiculous. So I'm so glad I'm back on contract and I'm back to working from home, which is great. And I just have to get the work done. And if that means I do a whole week's work in 3 days, then all the better for me. Then I get a few days off. But that has not been happening since COVID because, sometimes the worksite has had to stop for 3 or 4 weeks and then they're so far behind by the time they get back that they're just non-stop. We need this, 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 and it just never ends.
Has the weather been playing up with that as well, like all this wet weather?
Well, we haven't had wet.
Really?
We've just had humid and hot. It did rain last night, but it hasn't rained for a few nights, actually. Not at all. So, in fact, I've waited for the humidity. Quite often with the humidity, it rains at night. And I've waited till like 2 o'clock in the morning. It still hasn't rained. So I've gone out and watered the garden because it still hasn't rained. Yeah, and I know they need to drink before the humid starts the next day.
Yeah. No, it's been wet as hell. We've only had, like, today and yesterday were the only 2 days where we've had hot, humid weather. It's just been kind of cool and pouring down rain. So it's been a bit of a shock to the system all of a sudden.
Oh, right. Oh, well,
Yes.
We've had like 30-degree days for like a week and a half, and I've been loving it, except my spa broke.
Oh, no.
So the hottest week and a half we've had in like 2 years, and my spa's dead.
Must have been a good Australia Day party.
Oh, well, it was working then, but the last week it's gone. So
Yeah. More bills.
Plus, we don't really invite strangers or friends or anything into our spa. We consider it's ours, and so if we have people over, I usually empty it afterwards.
Sacred ground.
Well, yeah. Especially in COVID times, you don't want other people's, bacteria and viruses, even though the chlorine kills it. You kind of just don't want it in there. And it's small enough you can just kind of drain it.
Cool. How'd you go with the LA, the South LA?
I think I talked about this with you. While everybody was minting the city, I was floating towards things that I wanted, and I ended up getting them after the shutdown and everything, but I was minting my way there and there was nobody else around, and I was watching the whole rest of the city go out from under me while I was trying to track my way through the Hollywood Hills.
Mm.
So how did you go? Did you pick up anything afterwards?
Not really, because I ran out of time and had to go to work, so I walked away with a 2 million UPEX still burning a hole in my pocket. So I actually reached out to the UCC this morning, and I was like, guys, you got to get some UPEX out of my hands, because I don't want North LA to be released, and I'm sitting on all this UPEX because I know what I'm like. I'll see all these cheapies and I'll just want to gobble them all up. So I hit those guys up and made 4 payments for my contract, which ate up nearly 1 million UPEX. So that took a lot of the temptation out. I'm still debating whether I even bother to get up for it or not, which I don't know. I'll probably, for the North release, I'm probably not even going to bother getting up, I don't think.
I think I'll be up, but I'll be watching because I've got 25k left. And I'm going to recycle some cans. I'll recycle some cans tomorrow, which might get me up to 50, but that means like one property if I'm lucky. So
yes. Although, are you expecting that's got to be cheaper up there, surely? Although then you're talking about, like, I don't even know the area. That's up in the hills and all that sort of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So is that more exclusive and more expensive, or?
Yes, yes.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, in the valley there are some cheaper props, but do you really want those? I would rather the one thing that I'm going to keep rather than, I mean, if there is no one thing that I would keep, then yeah, 50 tiny little ones that you can flip are great, but yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'd be interested in. I don't know anything about the valley other than any time it gets mentioned, everybody starts talking in a weird squeaky voice.
Oh, they're all excited.
No, like they do some valley girl accent or something. I'm like, what the hell are you going on about?
Movies. They're all about the movies.
Yeah, everyone, like you'd be talking to a bunch of people and next minute they're all bunging on this accent. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, you haven't seen enough teenage girl movies. That's what it is. You can't appreciate it.
I dare say that's probably true, yes.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where if I happen to wake up, of course I'll have a look. But yeah, I'm not going to set the alarm. I'll just get up at my regular 5 a.m. time and see what's around. Yeah, I just don't know. I know what I'm like. If I'm there, I'm going to spend what balance I have, and I don't really want to, sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I got some, nice things that I wanted in LA itself. But I don't know of anything that I actually want in North. But I'll have a look if I have time between now and the release and see if there's anything that I want. But I'll probably be up anyway, so.
Yeah. Jedi's in the house. You're up late, Jedi? He's just put a message.
Yes.
Must be running the Ubers. Sorry, what was that? What were you going to say?
Oh, Sasso sent me a link to a property that I should buy, and I really should think about buying it, shouldn't I? But there was no address, Sasso. You need to send me that address. It was just an image.
So you're going off Street View?
Yes, he found a property for me, and I really should buy it. It's how I have the swear jar here in the cafe.
Yeah.
So they're all a bunch of properties that I'm never going to get rid of. They're all my keepers, and what happens is we put them in the swear jar and everybody sends to them, except for, of course, the Manhattan one's not mine because I don't have a Manhattan because I pretend it doesn't exist. So I need a new LA one, and I was thinking of my treehouse prop, which I bought a treehouse. But Sasso found a really good one for me that I should use. Somebody else found one for me too. That one.
Oh, gosh.
So I didn't buy that one because I thought, well, that one's way too political. But Sasso found a really good one, which would be pretty cool.
To add to the collection.
Yes, because you know me, I'm a keeper.
Well, what do you mean by you pretend Manhattan doesn't exist? What's that about?
So when I joined, Manhattan was at about 40 USD. Now, I was a new player. I didn't have 40 USD to invest in Manhattan. So I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to get in there. And so I just forgot about Manhattan. And as Manhattan has kept rising, of course, it's rising faster than my in-game income. And so I just pretend Manhattan does not exist because that way I don't have to feel like I'm being left out of anything.
You can't go like that. I mean, I flipped probably over 250 Manhattans between 30 and 50,000 UPIX. It's just one of those things, like if you look at the numbers, you think, oh, holy crap, I was an idiot to do that, but I didn't just flip them and then throw the money in the bin. It was reinvested into fresh mints and other things. So it's a tricky one.
Yeah, I mean, I've got San Fran. I've got like 16 in San Fran. I like San Fran, but I don't know if you think the same way that I do, but not being from the US, I have no particular fondness for Manhattan versus the rest of New York, whereas obviously people from the US think differently, and people from New York think even worse than that, that if you're not Manhattan, you're not New York.
Yeah.
But I don't think that. So, I mean, I have all the other, suburbs or, what is it they call them? Not suburbs,
Or tiers or
boroughs.
something.
Boroughs.
Oh, boroughs, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have all the other boroughs. I just don't have Manhattan Island.
Yeah, no, I don't kind of get into that sort of stuff, and it's for the same reason, because I got no idea. Obviously, you know Manhattan and you know San Francisco and that, but there's no kind of emotional or memory sort of ties or anything like that. It's just blue squares. It's just numbers and blue squares to me, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know the difference between Manhattan and the rest of New York. We just don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for that address, Sasso, because I will go and I will look at how much that is. And if I have the UPEX, I will buy that, because that would make a great swear jar property.
Have they got the properties showing in North already?
No, but they were releasing them like 5 hours before.
Yeah.
So I will know if I can afford it or not.
Cool.
Yeah, well, 5 hours is good, because there's a chance that you can go and have a look, and if there's nothing you can afford that you want, you just go to bed.
That's stupid. Like, we used to get it. It was ages before we used to get it, like days, and we'd have days, within in our little node teams and groups, or you'd get together and you'd check out all the properties, you'd check the street views, That was half the fun. Like, half the engagement you'd have in the community was checking all that stuff out. I really don't understand why they do it. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't seem like there's any sort of positive, unless there's some kind of stress on the system, or I don't know. I just don't see the purpose of it.
No, neither do I. I think it's a little weird. People like to shop, and they like to window shop more than they actually like to spend. So if you allow them to window shop, they're going to know what they're going for. And, okay, there'll be competition for every property. There always is. But, at least you know that what you're looking at is within your means. So you're not wasting time on something you can't afford.
Well, maybe that's the key then. Like, if they're doing it like for some kind of business economic thing, maybe the thinking is that if we can't see what's happening, then we're not going to turn away from things. But I think that goes the other way too. Like, if you can get in there and you can see what's there, you're probably going to FOMO in even harder.
Maybe, yeah, because sometimes, the street view kind of eggs you on, even if you're not really into street views, because other people are.
Yeah, I don't put any value whatsoever into street views. It's very rarely I even check it. Yeah, no.
Oh, no, I do. Do you have the chat open?
Yeah.
Okay, so see my tree house. So the house is pretty cool, but look at the front yard tree. There's little lanterns in there and everything for lighting. It's just cute. So I call it my tree house.
Oh, gosh, I wouldn't have even noticed. I would have looked at that and thought, geez, they need to hire a gardener and trim the hedges. It's a kind of a funny one, though, because you see people get caught up in that where, how you can click on one property and you check out the street view and you go, oh, beauty, I'll buy that. And then the 5 other houses around it have the exact same street view, but they're half the price.
Yes, and that's really weird. You actually have to, check on other places to make sure that what you're looking at is what you're looking at. And you have to go across the street and count properties and all that kind of weird stuff, just to make sure that what you're getting is what you're getting. And sometimes even the tags on the map are on the wrong buildings, so you have to go and check elsewhere. And I think anyone who likes those tag properties and complains they accidentally bought the wrong one, I think that's on them. They should have done their research.
Yeah. Yeah, and they try and blame Upland for it, but that's a third-party thing. And yeah, You see that kicking off every week. Somebody's complaining about, oh, I've got this property, but it doesn't have the tag on it. Why won't you put the tag on it, Upland? Or, yeah, it's in the wrong spot. And, yeah, I think people just put way too much value into that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a tag and it's accurate and you're selling to somebody else who loves the tag, that is great. And the first thing I say if somebody's selling something with the tag on is say, hang on, you're underpricing that. There are a whole bunch of people out there who buy nothing but tagged properties. So what you need to do is find an ally who will tell you what it's actually worth and sell it for that, because, you know, everybody likes something different. And if you're marketing for tagged properties, sell it for that price. You know, don't undersell it.
Yeah, I've had a few people reach out, like when I've done big sales in San Francisco or, you know, other places. I'm just looking at the data from the data sites and thinking, what's the floor? What properties do I have there? Like, I'll always find, if I want to sell 10 properties in, say, out of Sunset or something, well, I'll check what are the cheapest minted properties that I've purchased there so I can make the most margin on them. And then I've had people reach out and say, hey, you're trying to sell a marked property. Do you know that? And I was like, oh, I don't care, whatever. So if you want to pay me more, go for it. Otherwise, get it while you can, sort of thing. You know, I kind of feel if somebody can pick that up on the secondary and then they can have a margin themselves to move that on again, well, good on them, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, if I really like something, I will set it for a to sell price later if I'm willing to sell it. If I'm wanting to get rid of it because I bought it because it's a flipper and there's nothing special about it, then I do the same. I look at the floor and I go under it so that somebody else will buy it within an hour and make a profit out of it themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of a weird... Sorry, finish what you're saying.
Oh, there's just a difference between buying a flipper and buying a property that you really, really like, that you want to hold forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a kind of a weird situation because anybody can apply to have those tags put on. Like, you could find whatever property you wanted. You can apply. It's not necessary that you're going to be approved and have it done, but, you know, these shops change places. Like, there has been cases where somebody will pay big money because it's a named property, and then a month or later the tag disappears.
Yeah.
And then, you know, people up in arms about it.
I had a street view that was really weird. In Staten Island, I had one property and it's a commercial type property. I can't remember what it was, but it's one of those, you know, low level chains in the US. And from one street view, it was the chain store, but you went around the corner and looked back at it and it wasn't. and I'm looking at it going, okay, I don't know which, I can't see the date on when the street views were, because usually it tells you a date. You know, this is the date of this one and this is the date of that one. But I think they both predated the dating, and I couldn't tell, and I just thought, I'm not interested enough. I don't care enough to actually go and find out. But I just thought it was hilariously funny that the two different streets were telling me a whole different story.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like you said, you almost, if that's what you're going for, if you're going for street views or tags or whatever, you almost have to triangulate to double check your facts.
Yeah, and if you go onto Google, it'll tell you actually when the street view was taken, and you can figure out which is the most recent. But, you know, commercial properties change regularly, so that's also, I don't understand why commercial properties are a thing. Housing, I can understand because, you know, a house can often stay there for, you know, a couple hundred years. But commercial properties change, like, all the time. People
yeah, especially if you're talking about...
or moving location.
Yeah, strip malls and all that sort of, your mum and pop shops there forever turning over. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very rare that you see a restaurant or something that's been there for 20 years. It just rarely happens.
No. Yeah, so you're not sure if you have any, like, main targets like that for the north? Aside from that weird one?
No. Except for the one Sasso's talking about. When I might go for that one if I can afford it. Did you end up staking on the stadium? Did you end up getting that done?
No, that was all too hard basket. And I've got, you know, we're running spark trains with the UDU and that sort of stuff, so my spark's all tied up. Yeah. I haven't actually used my own Spark to build my own properties pretty much since we got Spark. It's all helping other team members build their stuff sort of thing.
All right. I've got always something building. Like at the moment, I've got a townhouse building and I've got a small townhouse building. And actually, when I went to build my townhouse, I noticed a neighbour 2 doors down who was barely pro and barely had enough spark to stake, and a friend had obviously staked the tiny bit that they got on it. So I chucked a couple little bits on theirs. So hopefully that will help them out a little bit. And I've got some on Scruff's partner's build, just because.
Yeah.
Not because anybody asked, just because. And that's pretty much all I've got going at the moment. But I always, whenever I'm building something, I always try to, be community minded and put some somewhere else where nobody asks for help, but where you can give it anyway.
Yeah, well, that's I'm building plenty of properties. Don't worry about that. But
I know about
I
this
outsource. Yeah, I outsource all that. So it's kind of the same mindset with what we've got going on. Like, I was fortunate that I was in for the very first snapshot. I was whatever it was. I think I was an executive when the original snapshot was taken. Plus, I was in the first round of the first testers of Spark. So I got 2 there. So you realize you're in a fortunate position and you have other team members that, they might only have 1 or 2 Sparks. So it's just been about helping them get established too. And it's kind of especially when you're talking about nodes, you want as many properties built as soon as possible. So, I could be selfish and go and sit there and build all my own stuff, but ultimately it's going to work out better if, we all support each other sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I feel really fortunate. I've got 4.31 Spark right now, which is quite a lot for somebody at my level. Admittedly, I've treasure hunted for, well over half of that, but there's not much that, I'm not willing to do to get Spark. So I tend to, share it around a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you go in on the stadium? Did you deal with all that drama?
I did. So I tried reading the blockchain myself and doing it for like 2.5 hours. And it just wasn't working. And then I thought, that's it. That's a huge waste of my life, and I'm not doing that anymore. And gave up. And then I had some downtime, like, about 10 hours later, and I thought I'll give it another go for a couple of goes. So I got the server up that I think Distant made with his countdown, and I got the blockchain up on that, and I compared the times between the two. And in 3 goes, I got it. So
nice.
I was done and I was in. So, but I think I would have given up if I had it done like 5. I would have just given up again and said that's enough.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is I'm on mobile and my Spark's still totally broken. I can't do anything as far as stacking onto other builds on my phone. I can start new buildings, but like, if I want to do anything as far as moving my Spark around, I have to get the laptop out and do it on there, which, as somebody who's a 99.9% playing the game on mobile is not very convenient. And I've support keep trying to palm me off, and I keep saying, the ticket's not closed, mate. I don't know why you keep trying to suggest that it's over. It ain't over. My Spark's still broken.
Yeah, which is really weird because you have such a lot of Spark too.
Well, I used to, but now with all these challenges, there's a whole bunch of people got way more than me.
Well, that's true. I mean, I got a very, very small amount in the Spark drop because I think I was just barely pro when Spark dropped the first time. Then I did compete in the Genesis Spark drop. So I was there beside Nubbix for Oakland and San Fran, and we were both in this channel calling out addresses as we'd find it, so that other people could jump on. But I still got a lot, even though we were sharing, because there was well and truly enough to go around.
Yeah.
So I got quite a lot in that, and then I've pretty much treasure hunted the rest of it. So.
Oh, nice. Grinding it out.
Yeah. So
And
well
my
over
goal
half.
for half from treasure hunts.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Now I think I'd have to go back and look, but I think I started with it was either 7 or 9 straight out the gate. Which that was a massive advantage. I think I'm 16.6 or something now. But my goal for this year is just to get that to 20, and then famous last words. But I'll be content then once I get to 20. I think that's a pretty good round number to get to if I can.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, the treasure hunts are a very good way of getting it. That's what I found anyway. When you have the time. If you don't have the time, then obviously there's nothing you can do about that.
I got when the standard Spark treasure chest first come on board. I got real jack of it. I think it was Green Turtle and me were kind of loosely keeping track. I was well into the hundreds, and I'm pretty sure he was well into the hundreds as well. I think I got like 130 treasure hunts I'd done, and not a single Spark chest. And meanwhile, there's other people in the team. They were getting one every 10 goes, or they were getting 3 in a row. And I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, I find for me, it's about 1 in every 30.
Yeah, gosh, that's quite a grind.
Yeah.
Where are you hunting?
Really is. So when I'm competitively hunting, I'm in Oakland. But when I'm doing standards, I ship over to San Fran because obviously it pays better when it's not Spark.
Yeah, smart. Yeah. The other thing is too, I used to have a very comprehensive, massive map in San Francisco, which I sold a lot out of as well. So, I was doing my standards in Chicago, but I don't know. Once Chicago sold out, I moved back home to San Fran and just been content to just float around there. And I do my free one, and that's pretty good actually. Even with the free one, I've been getting probably 1 a week, which is, considering I'm only doing maybe 10 a week, and I'm getting one. And,
Well, this week I got 0.11.
0.11, that's good.
Yeah, it's very good. So that was pretty good. That was just hanging around San Fran. Admittedly, one of those was a competitive that I kind of raced for. I don't usually do the competitive in San Fran, but I got that, and then I actually walked on top of one.
Oh, I just fluked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So do you, when the level up Spark ones come through, do you go all in on those?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't stop until all my sends are done for the day.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's 4 or 5 players in the UDU. It's mostly Brabant Swiss and Bocchio. Those guys are mental. They're getting over 2 Spark every month.
Well, I do that in Oakland because that's the competitive ones, and I can win those. But in San Fran, I'm not fast enough and don't have enough properties to do San Fran. So I go to Oakland for those, like big fish in small pond.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, they're setting their alarm and waking up all through the night every 3 hours and that sort of stuff. I'm like, God, you guys are mental, but they're getting the results. So it's worth it.
I use Mossy's tool, so I don't know if you know Mossy Jake, but he has a tool where it sets an alarm for you and tells you that the Spark chest is coming. It gives you a 5-minute warning. So I use that. But I only sleep, as I said, normally for 4 or 5 hours. So even if I get my regular night's sleep, I'm not missing out on a lot of chests. So I get one and then I go to bed.
Yeah, that's good if you can do it.
So, yeah, it's, I mean, I don't not have sleep in order to do it. It's just that my sleeping habits aren't great. So...
Yeah, those kind of treasure warning bots, they've been around for a while in a few different servers, and that they are very helpful for sure.
Yeah, and then he's got the Find My Sends, so you just type in, and it tells you where your properties are and where the nearest send is, so that you don't have to waste 15 minutes getting sends. You just get them in under a minute, so you've got your treasure, picked up your sends, and you're done for the next 3 hours.
Yes, and away you go, rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Because I find that hunting the sends is actually more time consuming than anything else.
Are you a floater? Like if you get to the kind of light pulsating red ones and you're kind of heading in the right direction, are you content to just sit it out?
If it's not competitive, sure.
Yeah.
Save the send for the next treasure hunt.
Yeah, so that's where I go wrong. I don't got the patience for that. I just jump to it. And then before you know it, you burn out your sends. Yeah.
Well, see, I'm lucky enough to have 3 screens. So while it's floating in the corner of my eye, I can go back to work and wait the minute.
Cool. Yeah. Yes. I know that the couple of times I've done that where I think, I'm heading in the right direction, but then I'll get distracted in a DM or something else, and then I'll go, oh crap, and you go back and it's all over. You missed it. Too easily distracted.
Oh yeah, you can't get distracted because you'll miss every treasure.
Yeah. So that's why I just give it away.
Yeah.
So where are you looking to build at the moment?
Well, I was going to build out all my San Frans first, and when I was done there, I was thinking about moving to Oakland to build those out. But I have quite a lot in Oakland, so I think I have to pick and choose which ones. Whereas I don't have a lot in San Fran, so I'm like 7 in on San Fran or something.
Are you in any particular area, or are you all over the place?
Well, I have out of Sunset because it used to sell cheaper than any part of the city.
Isn't that weird?
It is. I have 6 there. And I've built on 4 or 5 of them. I have a townhouse up the top end of San Fran and one kind of in the middle building at the moment.
Cool. Yeah, it's so weird, that out of Sunset thing. Like, and it's always been the case. Like,
it always has. Yeah, I bought some of them for $8K.
Yeah, it's when the UDU first formed, and we kind of led the push. We were just minting out neighborhood after neighborhood, just like really kind of stirring up the FOMO to get it all sold out, sort of thing. And when we ran through the Sunsets, I forget how many I ended up with. There was some ridiculous amount, like I think it was in the 300s or something. And every now and then I'd want to sell something in San Francisco to get a bit of liquidity, and it was always out of Sunset was always the floor. It was really weird.
Yes, and I picked up 3 or 4 once in a fire sale for Chicago. So somebody was a well-known player was fire selling for Chicago, and I picked them up nice and cheap.
Yes. And now look at the fire sales going on everywhere now. Have you been tempted to buy any of those?
No, I haven't. I've just been sticking to what I can do, which is, get a few props in LA. And I was hunting to get Upex, so that I could go to the north, but I just kept getting Spark instead. So I can't argue with that because, you can't argue with Spark.
No.
So I've only earned 25K in treasure hunts this week. So that's why I've got 25.
Well, that's pretty good. That's mostly standards and a couple of competitive ones here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So, but that's where I get most of my income from. I treasure hunt for it.
Yeah, I used to do that, but then I put some deliberate focus into getting my dividends fleshed out as much as I could, and that focus took over for a while. But now with them starting to kick back on the dividends again, I need to find another avenue to make up the difference that's been lost.
Yeah, and Jay has joined us. Hi, Jay.
J-Man. Yeah, it was I don't know. I felt that the dividend reduction came in way too soon.
It did. I mean, I only earned, what was it, 56. And it dropped to 52 or something. But I mean, I did sell some stuff as well. But that's quite a huge drop.
Yeah, well, they always talked about it when players have other means of making income, they were going to drop it. But yeah, just because 10 people started a business doesn't mean that the whole economy is good to go, sort of thing. So I don't know. I thought it was a strange one, but the writing was on the wall. It was always going to happen. So
yeah, well, they did always say it was going to happen, and even when they weren't saying it outright, they were hinting that it was coming soon. And coming soon. The thing is, we never know when soon is.
Yeah.
The old catchphrase. But yeah, I mean, it was quite a high dividend, really. So I mean, you really can't argue with the fact that they dropped it. It's just that people who are used to it kind of went, oh, okay, I know it wasn't
it definitely
lot,
sucks.
but still, it made a dent.
Yeah, well, I was on 2.1 million a month, and I'd arranged all of these contracts and whatnot and stuff. So I was able to pay all of my metaverse bills with that passive income, and I think that's dropped down to 1.8 or something like that. So it's still very healthy. As you said, that don't really have a lot to complain about, but it has put me in a situation where now I do have to find the difference, and I gotta weigh up the options. Do I knuckle down and get back into treasure hunting, or do I just flip a few things, or I gotta work out a system.
Yeah. Well, see, luckily I just used to buy properties with mine. So, whereas you've got a contract to hold up.
Yeah, well, I don't want the debt collectors chasing me in the metaverse.
And, that's a thing. All these white hat hackers that go after people.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, but the UCC's been good, because they had a big, massive influx of Spark come in with, so many people have got all this extra Spark. So I think we were doing, I might have had 4 or 5 builds on the go at any one point in time with them, but now we're up to 8 and 9. And I was like, hang on a minute, guys, you're building faster than I can pay for it.
Oh, I think they know you're good for it, though.
Yeah, well, that was part of it too. Jay's saying I'm at 1.4 million. Are you getting that from that website? Because that's before collection bonuses.
Yes, that's true. That doesn't give you a really good indication.
Yeah, I was over 2.1. I'll have a look now. I'll see what it is. But yeah, I put a massive focus on getting my dividends up so I could have this passive income stream. Like I bought a Dumbo property that cost me 10 million UPEX when I minted it. So, but that was purely for dividends. Like I didn't care what the property was or what it was about. So, where am I?
Yeah, I mean that is a major thing when you can afford the higher end collections, is making sure that you fill them with large enough properties to make it worthwhile long term.
Oh yeah, and like some people, what am I? 1.795. So yeah, almost 1.8. But I'm a small fry compared to some of these players. I'd hate to think what Abdullah's in. He must be in. Geez. At a guess, I'd say 6 million or something, because I think in Venom, before he left, I think he was well into almost 5 million a month, which is astronomical when you think of the real world equivalent.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's really what's paying for these, high-end auctions that they keep winning, really.
Yeah, it's just like the real world, isn't it? It's money makes money.
Well, this is true, but I mean, eventually everybody goes up the ladder. Like, I'm quite happy with my progress, even though I know many players who started around the same time as me have a lot more, but they spend a lot more time in the game than I do. So I don't have time to sit there and flip properties and figure stuff out. I mean, some days I can't even get my treasure hunts in, and that depresses me that I don't have time for that. But, it all depends. It's more important how much time you put into the game than how much money you put into the game.
Yeah, for sure. And Jay said in the chat that Abdullah's 10.7 without the collection. So that, he's probably, I'd say conservatively conservatively, he's probably closer to maybe 13 or 14 with collections. That's awesome. No tax,
Yeah.
not yet. Not yet.
Not until you take it out.
Yeah. Well, have you seen we've been talking about that a fair bit on that that new show we're doing, the news show. Like a lot of countries now, they're starting to really get their crypto tax stuff in order. I talked about how India's just making it a blanket 30% tax, and that's going to cover anything to do with crypto, NFTs, whatever. It's just going to be a flat rate. And I think she's got an episode that's going live tomorrow, and I think she was talking about in Thailand, they're talking about making it zero tax on crypto and stuff like that.
Zero. Oh my goodness, that sounds good. Can we get that deal?
Yeah. So I don't think we'll ever get that deal, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as long as it's still in digital, there's no actual asset that they can tax. It's when you start transferring between different ones and coming back into the cash arena that they start really worrying about it.
Yeah, and that they're also talking about potentially taxing unrealized gains, which is just unbelievable. So if you've got some Bitcoin sitting in there and the price goes through the roof, well, they can potentially tax you on that even though you haven't touched it.
And it can plummet the next day. So I don't know how they can do that, because it's not a firm profit until you actually take it out.
Yes, well, that's what the ATO told me directly when I spoke to them twice on the phone in 2017. I was on the phone to them for a good hour by the time I got through the call center to their, at the time, crypto expert. And I ran through all these sort of scenarios. What if I do this? What if I do that? And the dude was adamant. No, you will only be taxed on what goes in and what goes out. So I went like a maniac trading and ICOs and all sorts of stuff, 2017 and 2018. And then, of course, it turns out that that's all BS and every single trade is a taxable event. So, yeah. It created quite the mess, and the best part is the ATO is not liable for any of the information they give over their call centre, so you're screwed, basically.
But you can ask the ATO for a ruling in writing, which is something that I have done before, and they will actually do that to pin it down. So then you have that in writing letter that will come in the actual mail, which they can look up on their system, because you'll have a number for it and it'll be an actual ruling. It will take, 3 months to get the ruling, but you'll have it for future use. And if they negate the ruling, they will have to give you notice that they're negating it. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that is one of the options, Jay, and that has gone down in some circumstances, but, eventually it's all got to come back somewhere along the lines. Unless you do what some people do and have one of those crypto debit cards and just go holidaying in places that accept them.
Yeah, see, it's not really an issue for me, because I always say I don't do crypto, which of course is lying, because, once you do NFTs, it's crypto. Once you do wax, it's crypto. So I do have some crypto, obviously. I just don't do crypto, if you know what I mean. I don't trade. I do watch the markets, because I find it really funny how much it fluctuates. And I do watch that, and I just go, wow, that is just such a difference. And I do watch the wax so that I can grab it when it's low, because I know I'm going to be using that. But other than that, I don't do crypto.
Where do you get your wax from?
CoinSpot.
Yeah. Yeah, I was doing similar. Well, I haven't done anything in CoinSpot for probably 2 years, just because it's all red flags. Everything's just goes, all the data goes straight to the ATO, so I haven't played around with that at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I use them because they track it for you, so, and, you can get a statement out of there. So that's why I used them. I mean, purchasing the NFTs is obviously very visible. You can see what you paid for what.
Yep.
But, if I was trading, I think I'd use them too, because I think it would take away a lot of the headaches.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because it's not really a trading platform, and if you want to do any sort of serious trading, you go to whether it be Binance or Qcoin or one of these other places, or the some of the decentralized Ethereum ones and that. But yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. Nothing's tracked and nothing's traceable. But then it all ends up being tracked and traceable eventually. Yeah, it all ends up being done. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's on a blockchain. So if the ATO wanted to, check out everybody's wallet, they could do so. It would take, a technical expert, but, they're everywhere these days.
Yep. Just go decentralized, JJ. Yeah, pretty much if you can. But you still got to get it out of, you still got to start in Australian dollars and get it out. And that starts the paper trail there. So, yeah, I've just been playing with whatever, bags I had from the 2017, 2018 years. I've just been playing with those, shuffling those around, bits and pieces here and there. Whenever I have sold back out to, I forget what I did. I did something in CoinSpot, and, I knew that was going to raise a red flag in the tax return. So I just calculated that with the zero cost base, because it was going to be impossible to work out the trail of where that actually came from. So I just took that on the chin and went zero cost base for that. And that's something I'm going to have to do because those first 2 years were such a mess. And, there's so many of those exchanges, those offshore exchanges that went bust, ICOs that were rug pulls. It's literally impossible to track it all.
Yeah, well, I don't want to avoid paying tax on anything at all. And I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, I'm the kind of person who, you do a quote for somebody and they say, well, what if it's cash? And I always say, well, there's no difference. I'm still paying tax on it.
Yeah. I'd love for the ATO to say, we've looked at your trading and this is what you owe us. I'd go, yep, thank you very much. Let's work out a plan and get that squared away.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, the thing is, in a country like Australia, where you don't really mind paying tax because you know what it's going to, and I find that little breakdown that they give you at the end of your tax on the second page, where it shows you 2% went to roads and 3% went to this, and I find that hilariously funny. But I mean, you can at least see where it's going.
Yeah, for sure. Move to Singapore, Jay reckons. Well, if I moved anywhere, it'd be back to Japan. But yeah, not with 3 kids in tow. Unfortunately, you can't just lump up. But if Thailand's going to be 0%, I dare say there would be a few of the crypto people moving there for sure.
Oh yeah, worldwide, a whole ton of people will be influxing there. That's for sure. They better get their property standards up.
Yeah, well, you got a very low cost of living and no tax on crypto. That's pretty massive carrot. Maybe that's what they're going for. They might be trying to be the new hub.
Well, maybe. I mean, every restaurant in the area could go into, accepting crypto wallets and they'd be flush.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, Cheese, I'm pretty sure she's got something with the news thing she's doing that drops tomorrow morning, so I'll have to check that out myself. See what the go is.
I have to admit, I haven't watched your bad news show, but I will watch it. I just haven't had time in the last couple of weeks.
Nah, it's fun. Like I came up with the idea, and just a bit of a brain fart, and yeah, it's fun to do. It doesn't take long to do it, so we'll keep doing it. And yeah, she's going to take over a couple of days a week doing it, and another guy, Joe. Joe Lives, you probably would have seen him in the cafe. He's hilarious, like full on LA laid back dude. So he's going to do a couple of days a week as well. So
yeah,
I've had a preview of them. Yeah, so it's coming together well.
From Byron.
Absolutely, he'd fit in there perfectly.
Nimbin, send him to Nimbin as a trip.
Oh, he'd never return, yeah. Never to be seen again.
It'd be heaven on earth for him.
It would be, for sure. I don't think you'd be able to shoehorn him out of LA, though. He seems pretty content where he is.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so we'll see. We're hoping to get a few more people involved. Cheese is trying to get Banana involved to do like a once a week gossip roundup, like what's been happening in the community. You know, what do they call that? Like,
so good.
Yeah, you know what's the ones on the news? Like, they're always some flamboyant somebody from Hollywood or something calls in for the last 2 minutes of the show or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and he could do the 2 minute on the top movers and shakers and what he thinks they've been up to.
Yeah, so Cheese is working away at him trying to get him involved, so it should be good.
He would be so good at that.
I think he said today he jumped in towards the end of the UDU meeting and we kind of were needling him about it, but I think he was a bit wary that he might be too good at it because, obviously he's a very well-loved person in the community and, everybody's in his ear. Like, he gets all of this info. he might forget what's info he can share and what info he's not at liberty to share, sort of thing.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, because he's very good at research and he shares his research around and people share with him. And yes, I can see that he would go, "Oh crap, I wasn't supposed to talk about that."
Yeah, well, you just keep it lighthearted. You don't have to mention names. I mean, half of it's way more fun if you don't mention names and people can read between the lines.
Well, of course, because if you think it could be one of 5 people, then that's even more exciting than knowing exactly who.
Absolutely. Wait, are they talking about me? Yeah.
Get all paranoid.
Yes. So we'll see how we go. We'll keep working on him, see what he comes up with.
Oh, I do think that he would be great at it.
Yeah, and Cheese was good too. She was a bit hesitant at first, but she sent me through the example she did for tomorrow's one, and it came up really good. So you definitely have to check hers out.
Yes, I will. So I've been catching up on some of your old stuff because I never used to watch any of that stuff, and I've enjoyed watching it. It's like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm a devourer of content because even if I'm out in the garden or if I'm doing the dishes or whatever, I've always got something going on. And I was stoked to see Uplando finally put his show on the Spotify because
Yes.
normally when I get my downtime to once the kids are all squared away and I do the dishes at night or whatever, it's usually pretty dead in the cafe. So, and I'm always at work when he's doing his show live, pretty much. So it's been good to catch up on that as well.
Yeah, it is really good. And I was just going to say, I saw the one where Cheese gave me a shout out on one of your meeting things.
Yep.
I finally saw that.
Cool. Yeah, no, she's good value. Well, we shall see. Yeah, it was just a funny idea that we came up with, and like I said, it's fun doing it. So it doesn't really matter if nobody likes it, nobody's watching it. The main thing is, as I said to Cheese and Joe, is as long as you enjoy doing it, that's the main thing.
Well, that's right. I will watch because she's a personality and a half.
Oh yeah, God! Once she gets going, she cracks me up.
And every picture she posts of herself, she's always doing something hilarious.
Her and that bloody chicken wing thing she's got, she's always waving that at me at the moment.
The hair clip.
Yeah.
Well, you saw that it got made into an emoji in here.
Yes, I did see that. It was very cool.
I'm sure she's stoked.
Yes. Alrighty, looks like we've used up our time.
Yes, I think we have. Jay, is there anything else you wanted to bring up before we head off?
You got a song to sign us off with, Jay? Beds are burning. Way you go. Take it away.
Nah, beds are burning's better than gravy.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to run and stop the record. Thanks, everybody. And we've got to get some of these slack Aussies and Kiwis on board. What's going on? Blackos.
No. They were all here last week when I wasn't here, and what happens? I come back. I'm trying
They're
not
scared.
to take it personally.
Yeah, absolutely. What have you done? All right, we shall try again next week, see how we go.
Okay. I'm not DJing tonight. I figured that it was going to be done outside anyway, so I can still do it if you like, just not tonight.